Tarsier Studios' Little Nightmares is being handed over to the Dark Pictures anthology developer Supermassive Games for its third installment on consoles and PC. That's right, 6 and Mono are out, which means the upcoming chapter will now be looking to onboard an entirely new roster of characters and a whole separate location and co-op mode to boot. In other words, it's the dawn of a new era for the beloved horror franchise. Little Nightmares 3 will center its focus around two unlikely heroes, Lo and Alone, both of whom will have to travel to the inner world of the Nowhere, a disturbingly complex locale in which twisted creatures populate its streets and environmental puzzles block all routes leading towards its exits. As the duo, you will not only need to work together to overcome various challenges, but locate and escape from the city that clearly wants to keep you imprisoned. Little Nightmares 3 will be launching on Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and PC at some stage in 2024. David Harbour stars in the latest video game revival of the ever-popular Alone in the Dark series as everybody's favorite private investigator, Edward Carnby. Billed as a reimagining of the 1992 original, the upcoming remake will feature an even bulkier locale to explore and a myriad of new characters, weapons, and secrets. What's more, it'll also adopt a third-person over-the-shoulder approach, similar to the recent remakes of Capcom's Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Alone in the Dark will, in a similar fashion as the original, cast its focus on Edward and Emily, both of whom will travel to Dirktetto Manor, a home for the mentally fatigued, to investigate the disappearance of Emily's uncle, Jeremy Hartwood. With that, you can expect all the same chills and thrills of the 1992 installment, but with thrice the amount of action and bone-chilling horror. Bottom line is, if you're an avid fan of Resident Evil, then you're bound to find a home away from home in Pieces Interactive's upcoming iteration. Alone in the Dark is set to launch on Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and PC on March 2024. Hellblade is back with yet another tale in its Norse mythology-centric anthology, and with an all-new series of characters, puzzles, and hellish biomes to boot. As a continuation to Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, the game will pick up with the fledgling warrior, who, in the aftermath of her decline into the darkest depths of her psyche, will look to carve out an escape from the horrors that shackle her to the Viking underworld. With that, we can expect to see even more of the character's inner demons, and not to mention a whole new perspective on her fragile frame of mind. According to the developers, Hellblade 2 will carry over several of the features that popped up in the first, including its permadeath system, and of course its rune-based puzzles and third-person combat. So, if you're aiming to see how the story will reach its climax, then be sure to staple the sequel to your wish list. But be warned, headphone users, it won't be pretty. Hellblade 2 will be arriving on Xbox Series and PC at some point in 2024. Bloober Team and Konami have, after years of being badgered and moaned at, made the conscious decision to repackage 2001's Silent Hill 2 in all-new format for current-gen hardware. As a result of this, fans of the series will finally have the opportunity to relive all of those unsettling highlights that fleshed out the original, plus a good amount of new content too. Silent Hill 2 Remake promises to retell the same story of James, an ordinary citizen who, in the wake of receiving an invitation from his late wife, returns to Silent Hill to find her. This time around, however, there will be a slew of new items on the docket, including a larger town to explore and a third-person, over-the-shoulder mode that will allow players the opportunity to fully immerse in the world and all its gory secrets. Silent Hill 2 Remake will be shaping up for a release on PlayStation 5 and PC at some stage in 2024. Supermassive Games clearly has enough on its plate this year. What with Little Nightmare 3 and the casting of Frank Stone, both shaping up for a 2024 launch on a multitude of platforms. The latter, which will adopt a choice-based structure similar to the one used in the Dark Pictures, Until Dawn and The Quarry, will hurl players into the questionable past of a town killer, a prominent figure who once upon a time slaughtered countless victims and leaving a rather grisly stain on its history. It is here, somewhere in the future, that you will begin to make your gradual descent into Stone's shadow, bound for long-lost secrets that still hold a presence in the Oregon town. The casting of Frank Stone will deliver all of the traditional elements of a typical Dark Pictures title, including a group of friends to keep alive and a series of tough choices that will allow you to steer the narrative and chalk up your own conclusions. Think The Quarry, but with a batch of new characters and challenges to sift through, and you will be on the right track. The casting of Frank Stone will be releasing on Xbox Series, PlayStation 5 and PC at some point in 2024.